businesses out there. For example, when we were at AUVSI, there's a lot of companies. Ian and I were there last week. There's a lot of companies out there who we encountered and who you might encounter out in the world who need research assistance, who need areas to kind of, partners with to do, like maybe they have a technology they need some help with, or maybe they need some research funding. Maybe they need someone to kind of help them design something. There's a lot of different opportunities out there. So if you encounter a business out there who maybe is thinking that they might want some help, or they might want some research or a collaboration in this autonomous systems, which is kind of, there's vehicles. It's not just, flying drones. It's, you have cars that are driving by themselves. You have sensor development. You have technology like GIS mapping. There's a lot of different aspects of it. So if you find companies out there that might be interested in partnering and needing some research assistance, please let me know, and we'd be happy to kind of connect you.
Okay, so I have to apologize. I think the first part of it, people weren't able to hear, but we'll do a recap of what Chrissy went over at the end of our presentation. So right now we're going to start with Callan Hayes from our Business Attraction Group. And I'd like to encourage everyone, if you have questions, please type them in as you go, and we'll get to them either as we go or towards the end of what we've got for you today.
You know what, Amanda, now that Christy's back, why don't we just go ahead and have her do her recap again?
Okay.
That's what I was out checking. Okay. Can people hear now?
Yeah, we're back. We're good.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, everybody.
It was the best recap I've ever done. And now I don't know if I can live up to my own bad self. Okay, let's see if I can try and recap again. Isn't that always the way? It's the perfect roll of film that used to be on the roll of film. All right, let's see. So we have a couple of things going on in commerce that we wanted you to know about. One is that a few from our international team just got back from Peru and Mexico City with the governor. There were 18 companies from Idaho represented, and they met with 6 different partners in each of the cities to talk about business with Idaho. So they said it was very well received and a high level of interest. Commerce will have a press release coming out Tuesday to this, and with all the details on it. So watch for that. Yesterday, in fact, the STEP grant was submitted. There are still STEP grant dollars available for small businesses. Again, that on the website, you can go and check that out to see if you want to apply, as there's still dollars there. The outdoor retail show is coming up in July. This is a Germany show for recreation. There are 6 Idaho companies going to be represented there as well. And we have 2 of our commerce representatives going to that. 2 weeks ago, the Idaho Conference on Recreation and Tourism wrapped up. The speakers that were featured and the breakout sessions that they had were hugely appreciated. The more popular ones were social media training and how-to, bike-friendly communities, and culinary walkabouts featuring wine, beer, and some of the Idaho foods. On the tourism note, if you go to our website, you'll see that there's 18 Summers campaign up and rolling. There's a YouTube for every region in the state that you can download and use to promote your region. Please go out and check that. And if you haven't seen the 18 Summers, spend some time looking at those videos. They're beautifully shot, featuring, you only have 18 summers with your children at home, family vacation, and why it's a great opportunity. We continue to have tax reimbursement incentive interest, lots of projects coming in to be reviewed and rolling along with those. 2 weeks ago, we gave away grants, and you can see those on our press release and our website for the Community Development Block Grants, as well as GEM grants. These are to cities for water treatment facilities and assorted different small business grants that were very well appreciated. And let me see what other details we have. Oh, we have two people from Commerce that are going to be going to New Jersey and New York for meetings with site selectors next week. This is our proactive, external, outreaching marketing arm to tell more of these site selectors about Idaho as a great landing site to bring their businesses to grow and expand. I believe that is it. If I try to rewind everything, I think I got it.
That was a fantastic recap.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A recap of my recap.
Okay, hopefully we're back on. Sorry about that once again. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll right into our segment on the rapid response team, and then also wrap up with a review from DEQ. So for those of you who have participated in any of the community forums that have been held across the state, you've maybe gotten a little taste of this, but we want to take another opportunity to go over the developments we've made with the rapid response team. So this was launched last January, or January 2014. Governor Otter initiated the rapid response team as an interagency team responsible just for responding quickly to the needs of businesses, both existing and new businesses looking to relocate in Idaho, just to continue running at the speed of business and getting them the information that they need across all of the state agencies most involved with those sorts of projects. So the team is tasked with proactively engaging with companies to clearly communicate regulatory requirements and speed up the timeline to secure permits, discuss infrastructure needs, and outline opportunities for grants or other forms of assistance. So the purpose is kind of twofold. One, to help these agencies achieve their own goals. A lot of them do have goals aligned with economic development, and just to help them offer their services and resources more efficiently and effectively. And then also, obviously, to help the businesses so that they get in front of these issues quicker, get to the help that they need, and just have quicker and easier communication with the various agencies. So we're not trying to duplicate existing processes, actually just leverage what's already in place and kind of formalize it and enhance it wherever we can. So the structure of the team is that there are designees from each of the, gosh, now I don't remember exactly how many agencies are involved. Let's check out the website real quick. So it's on our Commerce website under site selection and then the rapid response team. So there we go, a number of agencies. There's designees from both. We have an email that we use to correspond with the group. The first year, last year, we had an in-person meeting, and we're going to be holding another one of those this year. But for the most part, a lot of it just takes place via email and enhanced communication between these representatives from each agency. So essentially, these designees are go-to people who act as a liaison for their agency, and they can then get the customer to the most critical person within their agency. Here at Commerce, we have been appointed to head up and kind of centrally coordinate the rapid response team. So the business attraction team is doing a lot of that, but we're also working closely with the business services team. So we capture issues that are coming in from new companies as well as existing. Most of the inquiries and requests do funnel through our agency, but there's definitely been occasions where it's other agencies communicating directly. So one of the things we did to formalize this was launch this new web page that we're looking at. It gives it just an overview of what the rapid response team is, and then also provides some great examples of where this sort of interagency collaboration has worked well to serve the needs of companies. And then we launched a frequently asked question page. So this is organized by each of the participating agencies, and we really tried to capture a lot of the questions that we hear, as well as resources that are currently available online. So all of these questions, you'll notice, have live links to relevant information on the host agency site. So we're not responsible for managing any of this. We just need to make sure the links are live and are routing to that firsthand information. So one thing, how can economic development professionals in the state benefit from this? Well, for one, we'd love to have you guys go to this website and check out these questions, see if there's anything that we're missing, but definitely use it as a resource for you and for customers that you are working with. Let's see. So we're looking, right, for answers or additional questions from you. We want to consider more ways that this rapid response model can be applied. So it's for you, it's for our customers, and if there are other agencies that you think should be involved, or perhaps ways that we can engage additional partners throughout the state, let us know. We're going to be following up with some questions, and we want to hear from you on how we can make this work better. Next steps for us. So one of the reasons why we have DEQ in here with us today is because they were the first agency that we sat down to really analyze what are the processes that each of our respective agencies are using, and how can we better streamline those and make our communication channels better and just enhance what we're already doing. So we had that conversation. I think we've improved a few things. We've outlined some areas for improvement. And next we're going to be meeting with the Transportation Department and then Department of Ag and Water Resources. So hopefully by the end of this year we'll have a number of these meetings done, and we'll be improving all these communications and just the resources that we make available. So Amanda, I think we have a poll question. I don't know if we've done a poll yet on one of these virtual roundtables, but
so it's interactive. You guys get to answer questions.
So we've sent out some information about this rapid response webpage, and I just want to know how many people have already had a chance to check it out. So that question should come up on your screen now. Go ahead and get those answered. Okay, well, loud and clear, it looks like it's coming in that people haven't checked it out yet. So maybe we'll do a follow-up question in the next virtual roundtable, and I hope everyone by then has checked it out. Because again, we really are going to rely on you guys to keep these questions updated and make sure we're capturing really valid things or really applicable questions. I've found myself going to it quite a bit just because I know what information is there and it's easy to get to. So please give us feedback on that. And beyond that, I think we're ready to roll into DEQ's presentation. So we have Orville Green here, who's with the state office, and then Aaron Sheff, who is the new Boise Regional Office Administrator. So thanks, guys, for coming in, and we'll roll it over to you without losing the audio this time.
Hopefully.
Thank you, Kellen. Hi, I'm Orville Green, and I'm with DEQ, and I'm part of the Rapid Response Team, and we have had several projects we've worked with Commerce on. And oh, I guess we have a, do we have a?
Yeah, if you want to click on the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
We do have a PowerPoint.
There
It's not very long.
And then,
We just want to introduce ourselves to you and let you know that we think DEQ is a, we want DEQ to be viewed as a resource for people in the state, businesses, and the public, so that we can ensure that no regulatory delays or other kinds of things happen to slow down business opportunities in the state. We're still figuring out how to use the machinery here.
okay.
And how do we go? Yeah, there we go. Not surprisingly, there we go. DEQ is not EPA. We're a state agency. But many of the programs that we implement are those that originated at the federal level and have been delegated to the state. But the state in and of itself has an obligation to protect the environment, and that's exactly what our mission is. And it's for use and enjoyment, and that use is not just recreational. We have a lot of resources to be developed in the state, and we want to see the whole state productively used to enhance everybody's life. Sounds like a high goal, but we think we're making much progress in doing that. We're kind of organized. We have a state office that's generally organized the same way it is at the federal level. We have waste and remediation, water quality division. We have an air quality division. We have a technical services division which provides engineering support throughout the state. And when we say develop programs, what we generally do is check out the new federal regulations, review them, pick the ones that are appropriate for Idaho, and then make them Idaho laws through the legislature and the rulemaking process. And once those laws are state laws, then the state has jurisdiction to operate those programs instead of the Environmental Protection Agency. The regional offices are the ones who are really the implementers. They're the ones that most businesses and public should call first, because they have the expertise and they're located in convenient areas around the state to help various facilities with their permitting, their regulatory questions, or any other problems that come up. You can see the 6 regional offices. We got Coeur d'Alene, Lewiston, Boise, Twin Falls, Pocatello, and Idaho Falls. And each one of those is organized just a little bit differently, but all of them have pretty much the same goal, and that's to create a business-friendly, regulatory-friendly atmosphere for Idahoans to work in. And to emphasize that, I'm going to turn this over to our Boise Regional Administrator, Aaron Sheff, and he'll tell you kind of with what's happening in the Boise region, and kind of what our goals are in terms of helping businesses in Idaho.
Thanks, Orville. So I am the administrator of the Boise Regional Office, and it is, in fact, the largest region by population as well as land area. And it does comprise the 10 southwest counties of Ada, Adams, Boise, Canyon, Elmore, Gem, Oahe, Payette, Valley, and Washington counties. There's certainly a lot of activity in our area, given the fact that we have so much of the state's population, about 41.3%. we have the only permitted hazardous waste landfill in our region. That's the U.S. Ecology site. We are the only region currently that has oil and gas exploration and gas production going on. That's out in the New Plymouth area in the Hamilton gas fields, and then there's more exploration in the Willow Fields area. So that's a big and exciting project that's going to be ongoing for some time. We have a number of large mining operations that are trying to come online and are in the various stages of exploration, which includes Stibnite, which before they changed their name again was Midas Gold or Golden Meadows, but it is in the Yellow Pine Stibnite area in Valley County. And then we also have the Kumo mine that's currently in exploration, and that's out not too far from Idaho City. So those are examples of some fairly large projects and some big sites that we have in the region currently. But we certainly have a lot of residential and commercial development as well. We also have a lot of forested land, so there is still active timber harvesting. We have a lot of rangeland, and there's certainly a lot of grazing that goes on there, as well as recreation. And we definitely do have some abandoned mine lands, and we also have a number of smaller mines and claims, as well as some mining in some of our surface water bodies, what people popularly call dredge mining. We've got a lot of ag land, dairies, got a lot of crop production, and you know, one of our biggest crops obviously is onions, and we do a lot of mint and corn and fruit and alfalfa. And we certainly have a lot of surface water bodies, as well as a lot of different irrigation districts as well. We have the Mountain Home Air Force Base. Our region is again fairly expansive for being 10 counties, and we have some fairly big facilities in that, including Gowan Field, Mountain Home Air Force Base, and then our region also crosses a lot of interesting geographic features. For instance, the Snake River, and then we go all the way out to the Hells Canyon Dam, and we've got some really nice recreational areas up in Valley County, not the least of which are located in McCall and Cascade. Over the past decade or more, we've been growing fairly rapidly. There's been quite an influx of people into this region, both from the state and from outside of the state. And with that growth, we do experience a certain number of environmental issues, not the least of which will be our air quality issues. We are a valley, and we are ringed by mountains, and that does create a situation where we can sometimes have inversions, and when you stack a lot of businesses and a lot of cars moving around and people doing their business, that can certainly generate some air quality issues. So that's something that we're very cognizant of. We also have a fairly significant amount of what we call nitrate priority areas. These are areas that have drinking water wells that have elevated nitrate in the water. And we actually have 15 of the 34 nitrate priority areas statewide, and a lot of those have a tendency to be around areas of a lot of population. So that's something we definitely monitor very closely and try to work with stakeholders to improve groundwater quality. We also have the need for more drinking water and wastewater facilities. That's a constant need, and so our engineers in the Boise Regional Office work on plan and spec reviews very regularly. So with respect to our business strategy, our goals are to promote a positive and environmentally friendly environment for businesses. And one of the best ways of doing that is to work with businesses as they're identifying prospective sites as they're moving into the state or potentially expanding. We'd really like to be able to meet with people as early as possible as they're planning their businesses in order to help identify any permits or that might need to be associated with the business, as well as to assist in reviewing plans and specs for infrastructure needs such as drinking water and wastewater systems. And you know, for us and for anybody developing a project, it's a lot easier for us to do a thorough review and make sure that we're giving you the best assistance possible if we have early contact, so that we know what your plans are and we can work with them and try to ensure that you've got the best product moving forward, and that we don't. The worst thing that we encounter is when a business opens up and we're reading about it in the paper and we realize, oh, they need an air permit, or, you know, oh goodness, they're a public water system. Did they you know, put forth an application, and then find out that in fact no application. That requires a lot of backtracking and sometimes retroactively putting in equipment and systems, and that's very expensive, and we certainly don't want to cost businesses more money before they even open the doors. So again, proactively working with us is really helpful. Also, it's important to note that from time to time we have to deal with emergencies. You know, we may have an emergency release into a surface water body or something that takes a lot of our time and energy to deal with in an expedited manner. So if we're able to start working with businesses and your stakeholders in advance, we can easily overcome those emergencies and still accommodate your stakeholders and businesses that are planning to relocate to our area. But coming in at the last minute can sometimes be problematic, because if we're in the midst of an environmental emergency, we might not necessarily be able to get to the project that you're working on or your clients are working on as soon as we would like. So we also like to work with people early in the process so that they understand our laws, which are generally not going to be any more stringent than federal law, and also just in general to help clear sites. Sometimes if your clients are looking at what they think is pristine ground, sometimes it isn't. A lot of our property here has a past, and it's a good idea to check with us to see if we have any records of past activities on a piece of property that's going to be developed to determine whether or not you or your clients could run into any type of contamination that might either prevent the project from going forward or could potentially make it a lot more expensive. So again, one of the things we really like to help to do, especially on the front end, is to help you and your clients understand and comply with environmental standards. And these are not only the Idaho environmental standards. We have a very good understanding of federal standards as well. So we can help bridge the gap between the state and EPA in a lot of cases as well. If you have clients who have issues that bridge state and federal laws. And then, of course, with that early intervention and that discussion, we can very easily lay out what compliance looks like. We have a lot of information. Let's say that you have a client that's looking at a business that might be generating hazardous waste, and they'll have a need to transport and dispose of that. We have really good technical experts on hand who already have these compliance issues worked out, and we have a lot of white papers and fact sheets to help the regulated community comply with these laws. And it's a lot easier for us to be able to give this information out in advance and meet with people in advance rather than helping them fix something on the back end. An example of that is we recently had a gentleman come in who was looking to permit a shooting range near Avamore, and we were able to sit down and work out with him all the different things that he would have to have in place, both on the front end and on the back end, should that shooting range ever close, to help him determine whether or not it would be a worthwhile project and something that he wanted to pursue. So businesses that interface with DEQ, a lot of issues that are relatively common are air permitting issues, and you can see from the slide that can take a while to obtain and have a signed off on air permit. We're looking at, in some cases, almost a 6-month period. So you can see how interfacing with your stakeholders with respect to contacting DEQ for any of their compliance needs is especially important if you're looking at certain air permitting, because it can take a long time. Hazardous waste disposal generally doesn't take a tremendous amount of time, but it's very complex. So we can help analyze potential waste streams and help people determine what to do with their waste. And in a number of cases, our technical experts can actually help your clients and stakeholders reduce their waste stream, which saves their money and increases the profitability of their business. Permitting can take a little bit longer depending on what it is you want to do, whether it's a land farm for petroleum contaminated soils or whether you're looking to start a landfill. Between those two different types of activities, there's a lot of difference between how you design something and what the regulatory compliance looks like. So permitting on the waste side can either be relatively quick and simple, or it can be incredibly complex. It just sort of depends on the type of business you're discussing. Infrastructure, we routinely are working on wastewater and drinking water system plans and approvals. We have an engineering team that does this nonstop. They're very experienced. Again, working with us ahead of time, if your clients have a business that needs to open within a certain time frame, we can potentially juggle our schedules to ensure that your stakeholder has a permitted system when they need it. So again, that early discussion with DEQ, that becomes critical with respect to timing. Then of course there's stormwater compliance. Just about any commercial development and even residential development is going to have aspects of that, and we routinely deal with that, as well as surface water bodies, disturbances or alterations. Some of that does cross boundaries with the Army Corps of Engineers, but we have really good contacts and networks with those folks as well as the irrigation districts, depending on what that project might entail. And then finally, the last thing is the thing that I can actually speak to with the most intelligence, and that's Brownfields. It's probably one of the newest programs to DEQ, and it's a really, really good program, especially for businesses. It's essentially, you can think of it as land recycling. Basically what the program is invested in doing is taking a look at formerly developed property that might be vacant now or in disuse or some type of blight, determining whether or not there are any environmental impedances to redevelopment, spelling out what those are, and then helping folks develop a path forward to either cleaning them up or just designing their projects so that they don't even have to contend with the contamination that may or may not be on site. So we can provide anything from technical assistance, looking at what your plans are and what your clients' due diligence turned up on the property with respect to any contamination that's there. And in certain instances, depending on the entity, we can actually go out and conduct environmental assessments on properties to find out what is actually there, determine what the next steps, if any, might need to be for your client to go ahead and develop the property, and in some limited cases, even assist to some degree with the cleanup of the property. Utilizing brownfields is a really good idea if you're going to be redeveloping an older property. I can think of almost no case where people have come in and redeveloped an older property where they haven't had some level of environmental issue that they had to contend with. Some of those can be relatively cheap and easy to fix. Some of them can cost millions of dollars. So it's, again, really important to try to get us involved on the front end. We have databases that we can tap into going all the way back to 1905 that tracks what parcels used to be used for over time, right? Your corner laundromat may have turned into a Dairy Queen, 30 years ago, but any potential contamination could still be under that Dairy Queen. So if you buy that Dairy Queen and you want to turn it into something else, you could accidentally be purchasing somebody's contamination if you don't take a look at the property ahead of time, and we definitely want to help people avoid that situation. With respect to brownfields, there's a laundry list of potentially eligible properties, but essentially it's just about any property that was used for a commercial or industrial purpose in the past, and even in some cases, properties adjacent to properties that used to be used in such a manner. We can look at everything from landfills to gas stations to clandestine drug labs and everything in between. There are some restrictions, but I don't want to spend too much time on that. I'd rather just have you contact us to see if there's a way that we can help. And that's it for now, unless there's any questions.
I think we do have a couple of questions, and we also have one more poll. I don't know if you want to do the poll first.
Yeah, let's jump into the poll. So thank you, Erin, and we wish you'd been here for the community forum earlier when we were introducing everyone. So this is a great way to kind of introduce you to the crowd. And you all might remember when we sent out emails introducing some of the, or all of the regional administrators. And I think most of you had, or communicated to us that you have made contact with them, but we just wanted to run a poll one more time to see how many have worked with their regional administrator in the past on a project, just to kind of get a feel for that. And if you haven't, or if you have in the future, we definitely encourage you to reach out to them anytime a project is coming on board that you anticipate having some environmental issues associated with it. Okay, it looks like we're getting a good mix of answers. So some of you saying yes, a few of you saying no, and again, one of those where in the future we hope that'll all say yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then some questions, Amanda?
Yes. So
It's like we got to update our website
yeah.
by 300,000 people. Thank you.
I think those are
Okay.
not actual questions.
Yeah,
It's more
but
like
thank you for the comments. So
Yeah.
that's good information. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. If there's any other questions, go ahead and type them in. Otherwise, if you can send us an email, we'll make sure that they get to the correct person. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and watch for an email. I'm going to send one out to get feedback on the rapid response page and the questions. So I'm hoping to gather some more ideas from everyone. So thank you again. And I think we're going to sign off.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, DEQ people.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. This is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.